Suicide is a very complex behaviour. It is often an impulsive act which is the result of a multiplicity of factors that just fuse together in a single moment in time.
Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and pay my respects to elders past and present.
Some is not a number. Soon is not a time. Some is not a number, soon is not a time. It's really led us to this initiative.
These two thoughts that I'll leave you with about sort of reorienting to an understanding of this as a distinct set of issues and challenges to work with. And the second is that if we get in that space and then we proceed into this, creating circumstances where we can work with people in this collaborative way, we will not only save lives, we will effectuate a reorientation of the business.
Suicide Prevention Australia got behind this initiative because we have been grappling with how can we develop a downward trajectory in suicide in Australia.
It's my own personal lived experiences that allow me to build rapport with someone within half an hour of meeting them, and then they say, I want to die. And I say, who have you told about that? Nobody. So you're just telling me for the first time, how long have you been feeling this way? Oh, a long time now. Wow, thank you. It's not me who is like, oh, well, you should want to talk to me. It's actually me thanking them for the trust that they have and how I have been allowed to be a part of their journey of healing.
And this model of zero suicide, I think, if we look at it in the Australian context, gives us a great opportunity to start bringing that trajectory down rather than up.
Primary care physician, the psychiatrist, the psychologist, the pediatrician will all work together with their patients, which I don't like to call patients or consumers. I call us citizens of hope, because I got that from this man right here. We're not shoppers at Target. We're human beings, all right? And the zero suicide effort will channel this to change lives all over the world, and I believe save a multitude of millions.
I know of no other illness where we wait until the person needs the intensive care ward and their family is in chaos before we address it. While many health reform documents have been produced by government, they are without the commitment to accept responsibility for implementing real actions. People suffering from mental illness do not enjoy the same rights as those who don't. Yes, we have more statements, charters, policies attesting a greater commitment to improving the mental health system, but not much has changed.
The roads coming together, because in us wanting to be a workplace where we have zero suicides, the things that are working around planning health and safety, about creating a great work environment that's stress-free, where people aren't getting bullied and the hours of work aren't overwhelming, they have the resources they need, is the answer we also want to pursue in the mental health and zero suicide debate.
We changed our mission from supporting people at risk for suicide and their family members as a modest mission into we want to have a country where no one dies alone in despair by suicide, which is much more ambitious. We send out change agents. They visit the leaders of mental health institutions, the doctors, the GPs, journalists, schools. And we ask them the questions, what do you do about suicide prevention? How can we help?
In Hong Kong, I think now the suicide rate, I think after the age standardization, I think we are at the lower end. And I think it's not just the effort of some, but it is really a cumulative effect of many stakeholders, I think, who have contributed, I think, for this.
We have an electronic health record, which is EPIC. We've had it since 2002.
And like many of the problems that we tackle now, we say, how can the system help us? What can we do in our system to really help us? And that has been a huge part. And I really believe that if you're going to engage primary care in this process, you're going to have to really leverage the electronic health records.
Oliver Wyman is a management consultancy, a global management consultancy, and they got quite interested in this concept of zero suicide. And so they offered to provide us with some consultants who over a year developed what is a very comprehensive business case for how you might actually go out and sell the development of a zero suicide in healthcare initiative.
Data, 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 data. We were already very good at this. It wasn't me, it's really our Centrestone Research Institute and our analytics department, our quality improvement, was if you have electronic health records, you can mine the data. So how old were the people in our system who were dying by suicide? What diagnoses do they have? What medications do they use? Where do they live? What services were they getting from us? And so we really became very proficient, I think, at process improvement and being nimble.
We do know there's been a change of attitude. If you'd asked the acute care teams to see every patient that's had a suicide attempt within 24 to 48 hours after discharge, they would have said, there's no way we can do this. We cannot possibly do this. Now, every day, we've got an email that goes out. There are 2 appointments available tomorrow morning for the suicide prevention pathway, 1 appointment next that afternoon, etc. So there's a constant monitoring, and we have always got that appointment available.
We have a bunch of studies of correlational open designs within subject designs, 2 in Denmark, 2 in counseling centers, Air Force study, 2 at the Menninger Clinic. What we've clearly shown in non-randomized trials and some with control groups that were not randomized is that CAMS rapidly reduces ideation, rapidly reduces overall symptom distress, increases hope, and decreases depression.
You always want them to leave with hope. You want them to leave with something tangible that they have. And there are very simple ways that you can do that. So when you do the safety plan, you have them take a picture of it and have it in their phone, in addition to having the paper and pencil. When you tell them about the crisis text line or the Australian Suicide Prevention Lifeline, you have them enter it into their phone and you have them practice calling from your session.
What is it that we could do to achieve perfect care? What would that mean? And somebody said it would mean, it was a nurse who came forward and said, it would mean that we would have 0 suicides. And so everybody stood back and they said, And Ed said, I love it. Let's do it. There were people that were critical of that. And they said, I don't want to have anything to do with that because that's not achievable. They left the system because we were doing it. And that's just the way it was gonna go down. If you want an audacious goal, you have to go for it.
So what we are hoping has come out of this discussion is the motivation, the inspiration, and the desire for our leaders in the suicide prevention arena to take this model and to actually see how we can effectively implement it here in Australia and for our international guests in their own country.